Sin has been locked in, so already Jiejie is going to be ready to turn a lot of heads, kick people backwards. This is exactly kind of his style, so that's going to look fun. Let's see what Evi can do, you know? Camera's on you, Evi. Where's the thumbs up, man? Where's the thumbs up? He's missing an opportunity.
Phreak.
He's missing an opportunity.
He's trying to do a draft right here.
How hard is champ select, really? You know?
It's difficult.
Apparently, you just kind of pick yourself in top lane a couple of times, and yeah, it is. Leona going to be grabbed. Not much of a surprise here. MF would be a very likely combo alongside that one.
Yep, I feel like that's the most likely, right? Unless we see something like a Sion Tristana come out, which could set up for that level 1 lane swap Cajun was talking about, but not too likely here. I would like to see this. Steel going back onto the Talon jungle. I'd say has looked mechanically proficient on it. Some of the decision-making has been a bit weird. I remember especially in their game yesterday, answering a play bot. I believe he was the one who took TP on the champion. So maybe higher execution able to come out. Really good team fighting. For the side of EDG, though, they're keeping it very stock and standard.
Man, you already have multiple reveals there for the Talon ulti, the Lee Sin E, the ulti as well from the TF, so not a lot of safety to actually be gained in that.
Yep.
And it's interesting to see MF actually go undrafted here through that first phase.
Yeah, they really had high priority on Talon and wanted to make sure they could answer mid lane on 3, and they thought, look, we can't let Talon go to the second ban phase, whatever, we'll deal with AD carries otherwise, and on the other side, EDG clearly valuing the Jayce very highly as well, knowing, hey, they're on blue side, they gotta blind something, get it in before the bans can come through.
This is also very stock and standard for EDG. They have one of the highest counter pick rates for both AD and support in the LPL. At this tournament so far, both games they saved AD and support 4, 4, 5. They play pretty much every type of bot lane, whether it's all in, whether it's enchanter supports, whether it's like wackier things like fasting bot lane. So I feel like this is right at home with EDG, and it looks like DFM want to go toe-to-toe. Potentially, you would expect, you know, get an aggressive AD carry there with the Leona to look for some all-ins.
Of course, first dibs go to the LJL squad of Detonation Focus Me, so leaving up the highest tier, which generally speaking for most teams looks to be Misfortune. So the Draven is off the table as one of the possible answers. I've seen Karthus named as one of the other MF answers. We don't see him, but you know, you get an on-demand slow that's undodgeable, and it's like, what's your Moose gonna do when you're slowed 80%?
Senna as well. I know some players have been talking about Senna. Danny, someone who's been playing a lot of fleet footwork Senna and having success with that. So always interesting to hear about some of those different picks. But Flandre kind of been protecting him on that top side. A couple of bans thrown over towards Evi here.
So yeah, we're gonna get the Jhin coming out for DFM, so not wanting to opt into the Misfortune. We have been seeing a lot of Jhin into the Misfortune, so does bring strong laning. We've been seeing a lot of like control around the map coming out with both the Snare and the Ultimate. And now for EDG, I'm surprised to see them wanting to go towards something like the Ezreal if they do decide to lock this in. Again, they've been a lot more of a lane-dominant bot lane duo in the LPL.
But to be honest, at Worlds, we've seen kind of more roaming coming out from Meiko. If he goes Braum, it's not really what I was expecting, but it would have made sense if you're playing, you know, TF plus Jayce, you want to play side lanes, if you wanted to get out of there and roam, well, Ezreal's a great pick to do that. But of course, it doesn't look like it's going to be the Braum, so we'll be probably playing, you know, more just as an answer, it feels like, to the potential Jhin.
Still does set up nicely for the 1-3-1, right? You clearly have the score that's going to sit in the mid lane with Ezreal, Braum, and Lee Sin. You have your two side laners. You're going to hopefully look to make picks, kite out, play from a distance using things like the Glacial Fissure. And now for DFM, it's all about looking for these aggressive engages.
Poppy
We got Poppy
in. So Poppy, Jayce, this is a matchup where theoretically you're getting pushed in early game, but you really consistently have lethal threat. It is not that hard to find a decent wall slam, but the damage output is really high. Poppy can be the setup for Talon to finish the kill, and it's one where you lose pressure and then suddenly kill the guy and take the lane over.
And this is another one of those games where you just stack armor. You're not really worried about the magic damage from TF when he is that only source of that. So, you know, potential here for Evi to get very, very tanky, especially early game when you're looking at the Jayce plus the Lee Sin. The early armor is going to be really, really powerful here. See if he can hold on in what is still going to be a very tough early lane. And if Flandre does get way ahead, then the scaling kind of matters less, so you can get run over.
I also feel like the only other thing I don't love about the Poppy is when we've very clearly seen EDG draft this composition that doesn't want to fight and just like fine keeping at arm's length and cutting back. Sadly, Poppy doesn't really do anything to lock you down, keep you in the fight. You're looking to like maybe flash in and just pop the quick ult to knock you up, but that is extremely unreliable, so don't know if we can expect that one. And Yeah, it feels like both teams kind of looking at different things. For DFM, it's mid-jungle. For the side of EDG, you're definitely looking a lot more towards that top side with Flandre, which is a far cry from what they did in the LPL.
Well, here we go. DetonatioN Focus Me hoping for a somewhat of a birthday present for Arya. Technically, in Germany, it's not yet, but in his home country of Korea, or even in his home league in Japan, it is his birthday. It is October 14th, so for the home crowd, happy birthday to Arya. And maybe he gets a win over Edward Gaming, the LPL champions. What a present that would be.
I was going to say, I don't feel like you can have a better birthday coming out. And, I mean, if that did happen right, they would exit the week 1-2. So still very doable to be able to try to find their way to make it out of this group stage. And yeah, it feels like they have a lot of champions that are very volatile, can make this very skirmish heavy. And EDG have never really thrived when it gets a bit too chaotic.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that just loves to play through objectives, right? And that's always what they are focusing on, setting up around objectives. I think their team fighting is the best in the world. You know, they are so proficient at kiting back, at always staying spread out. You know, they kind of have this little line where they kite back into the semicircle, and anyone who gets attacked on the team, the other members collapse in, take them out. It's really, really impressive to watch how they position in team fights and how they work together. And they're going to have a lot of poke here and the ability to kind of perform and replicate a similar thing in this game here too.
I think that's the good thing, right? Talking about the poke, the fact that Viper, if they do get to that mid game, will be able to have a massive impact. Viper definitely the standout, by far best AD carry in the LPL this split. No one even close, but it will take him a bit of time to get there. So DFM will have those opportunities available. And, you know, the thing I'm most curious in seeing in this early game is if DFM are going to put any stock into trying to, like, relieve pressure from the Poppy, help him get through that early laning phase, and then maybe try and combo up with it, you know, once it does get a few levels under its belt.
I mean, it's definitely possible if Steel is clearing from bot to top, you know, head up there. If the Jayce doesn't have the wave properly bouncing towards him at that time, maybe Steel can look for some sort of a play, but... You know, we are seeing Lee Sin clear the same way, so JJ can definitely look to answer that, and Lee Sin plus Jayce would be a powerful 2v2.
Interesting choice here. Scout learning the stacked deck at level 1 for the most aggressive pushing possible. It is easily the most minion damage you're going to get from a skill point at level 1. Says, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm getting 2 first. I'm going to have this control over the Sylas over here in the mid lane, but as Arya gets level 2 himself, comes in for a pretty decent trade. Yeah, lands both halves of E and Q.
Yeah, just really nice trade coming out from Arya. Scout playing this so aggressively. Again, you really don't see this start come out in this matchup all too often. Steel looks like he wants to capitalize, though. Is it being spotted?
Forward, here he is. Scout at half. Doesn't quite guess the flash E. Scout still flashes as he is afraid, but doesn't land the stun. And now actually takes the better half of the trade as Arya gets pushed down to 120 health.
I actually really like that, you know, being able to circumvent this ward. You know, there was that ward in the pixel brush, and he just hops over the wall so he can attack from a different angle. And yes, the chains did not connect there from Arya, but a nice little try. You have to get cute with these plays. You have to try to find some sort of advantage here against EDG. And Steel's trying to use some clever pathing to do that.
It's also nice that they realize, like, what their early game win cons are, right? They have mixed damage in the mid lane. They have the setup coming from the Sylas for the burst from the Talon, and trying to look for those aggressive plays. Again, it was a bit of an execution there, not just predicting Scout's flash correctly, but I like the attempts coming out. If Steel wants to make his way to getting a Scuttle Crab, would have to make his way down towards that bottom half of the map, but you look at the laning phase, EDG have 3 lanes of prio, so not too much Steel is able to do at this point in time.
Pretty happy. Go ahead and knock down that ward as well. Bit of extra golden experience. Evi just holding up in farm. And honestly, this is fairly reasonable for Poppy, right? You're down 1 CS. You're doing okay. Your health bar is all right. You still got a crafting potion stack. That part's going okay. It's just, yes, the priority is there, right? The safety for the Lee Sin to do whatever he wants on the top side of the map.
Exactly. And he's going to be able to get the Scuttle on the bot side as well, so that huge line of vision across the river. And we can see Steel moving in here, trying to find some sort of a play on Scout, who doesn't have that flash, but of course, the control ward will spot it.
And right now, not losing any time, right? Doesn't have any camps up. Doesn't look like his Gromp will come up soon, so maybe can see something like a recall come through. But right now, actually, you look at the mini-map, he is making his way towards the top side. Flandre is pushing, so could set up an opportunity for Steel to find something.
Okay, red buff on. Can Flandre survive the 1v2? Tackles into a minion to get the slow. Now a flashback, but the damage still going to be landing for the auto attacks. That should burn him down. No, the potion! The potion's enough! And he's going to survive with Summoner down. The TP's still up, means he's getting back into lane at full health.
Man, I think they thought it was dead completely. They didn't take into account the biscuits there, the potions that could come through, because Evi still had his flash. He could have flashed in for another auto that would have guaranteed the kill, but I think he thought Steel already had it, and he didn't need to, and now they're looking for a dive mid.
Looks like they think the damage is high enough as Scout forces Arya off the wave entirely. Despite 800 health left in the health bar, level 5 Lee Sin could have finalized it, so a little bit of poke and nothing else. Most of this wave is going to be denied. 38-22. Off the TPs, it was like 5 CS apart. Now, it's 17.
Yeah, this is just really rough. I mean, we've seen the ideas of what DFM want to do, just a few flubs here and there. And EDG, they're just taking it slow. They're winning naturally through lanes. Their bottom side has been pushed, and not really a whole wave up, but half a wave up. Scout doing such a nice job. They denied some experience from Arya there on that play as well, so Scout will be able to hit 6 first. It's going to set up a window to where he can make a Destiny play, to where typically the Sylas would be able to react, but now he will not.
Gonna try here. Now again, level 6 is in for TF, but not anyone else. Meiko coming around, spotted actually by Steel, so they know they've got an enemy support, but now he's far enough away. You can maybe go for the try. Yes, they're gonna look. They know he's flashless. They gotta land the stun, and they will do so. They gotta get the damage over, and yes, happy birthday, Arya, first blood.
Nicely done, and Steel, I think, is actually playing a really good game in these early minutes. Goes mid, forces the flash there, up towards top, forces a flash there, back to mid, gets the kill, while Scout still doesn't have that flash, so Talon paying some dividends here early on. They are still unfortunately down because the lane difference is pretty big.
I feel like a lot of what you're saying as well comes down to the point you hit on earlier about the ward he dodged out.
Yeah.
Even in that play, going to that brush, ignoring the camps he had up, I think EDG maybe expecting he wouldn't be there. He would be farming maybe his quadrant of the jungle and just doing a nice job of taking advantage of these unexpected plays coming out. But speaking of plays, EDG have a wave stacked in top side. Can they find it?
They're looking 3v1 top. Who's going to join them? No TP available. Goes for a little bit of time. Nice ulti charge! Sends them both back. Evi showing us how it's done.
I mean, you love it. That is what you pick Poppy for, to deny those types of plays coming out. And Evi even going to look to brawl with Jiejie. Not going to let him get these
Krugs. He's forcing the smite, though, so Big Krug is taken. And may have to respect Lee Sin. As you can see, the top wave is now dying to the turret. The first plate is grabbed as well. So, okay, you lose 3 CS, you lose a plate, but at the very least, you wasted some of TF's time.
I even like what EDG are doing on the bot side in reaction to this, though, right? They realize that, hey, because we're wasting so much time on top side, Steel can make his way into our jungle and look to take some of our camps. So Meiko and Viper just go and take the red buff themselves, not going to allow that to be taken away. Also going to give them a lot of power in the trades in this laning phase.
As the wave goes down, level 6 comes fairly soon for the bot laners. That's something we're going to watch for soon.
And we'll see what they can get done next. I would love to see Steel try to get back up towards this top lane, punish Flandre on this missing flash. He was able to make it happen with Scout, and the fact that Scout now doesn't have the TF ult means they don't really have an easy response to a sort of gank up there. So we'll see if he can circumvent some of these wards. There are a number that they have actually kind of defending the Jayce up on this top side. You can see 3 wards along here, so it would have to be a bit of an oddball path to actually dodge all the vision.
Still does feel like the fact that Flandre doesn't have the flash, we see Arya actually has the Destiny Gate available, and Gaeng has made his way up towards the top side, should potentially give DFM the option to take away a blue buff, look to start a Rift Herald if they so choose, and EDG probably not in a position to answer, though Meiko and Jiejie are making their way up.
The lane is awkward for Flandre, though. He's got no mana, really, and no TP, so he kind of needs to stay to protect the wave and get that pushed in, but also the rest of DFM are right in that river, so if he goes too far up, you know, Gaeng and Arya show up and the man dies, so they're going to be able to grab the Herald. Yes, indeed. I was worried about a chance this might not going to happen. Steel and Arya should be able to jump over the wall, so it might be a safe retreat, but hang on. Does Gaeng get slowed? Is it going to be much of a follow-through? No. The wave's safely pushed in, so Flandre gets what he needs out of that wave, but still, DFM not only have first blood, but they got the first Herald.
DFM are playing a great game, honestly. Yeah. They're playing EDG pretty tight here. Yes, it is only the first 9 minutes, but this is by far the best early game that they have been able to actually turn in. A lot of clever little bits leading towards that play. Obviously, the gank towards top. Evi sees that Flandre is low on mana, so he takes some damage to actually get up there and delay the base, so Flandre had to stick around, and EDG can't really contest with an Jayce coming in. He doesn't have TP either, so he couldn't reset in time. So smart stuff here, and while Steel was spotted out by the ward, the pink ward has now been cleared out, so there is always the possibility that he could look to try to sneak up around.
And I think, you know, with the clever plays from DFM, also EDG looking to go for the Herald contest despite what you're talking about with Jayce, despite the fact that Meiko's so behind on her own timer. That is just very standard in the LPL. Our teams do not know how to avoid the Rift Herald fight, but engage coming out from Gaeng.
Decent damage. Guardian helping a ton, though, means Viper gets to block about 120 of that damage at this point in time, and Not gonna hurt too badly. Gaeng should be able to grab the melee minions here and get the cash back in.
Just going to be slow in standard for now, seeing if they can just get a bit of trading coming out. Yutapon wanting to make do with the burst and the 4th shot that he has, but not able to find it.
It is looking like it's kind of EDG's turn to maybe make a play on the map again, as Scout does once more have the ultimate. It'll be interesting to see if they want to go up towards Evi again, because he had a great response to that TF ulti. His Poppy's ulti as a response to it was fantastic, and if you can get that timing, just reject the TF right as he arrives, at the very least it will buy you so much time. And Steel heading over here.
Okay, Arya gonna take a bit of damage, but Jiejie pushed on a half HP. Stun comes in on a Scout, and that is a stolen Lee Sin kill.
Oh,
That's gonna be in second!
Let's go!
Oh my word! Jungle mid diff for the LJL squad. Detonation, focus me on the board.
When did Faker arrive in the mid lane there? Arya has the birthday buff. I've heard of the wife buff, but this is a new one.
That's the thing, right? Phreak was talking about a birthday present for him. Arya giving himself a birthday present. If they will be able to keep up this momentum and find the win, EDG looking to be the aggressors now.
Finds a stun. Jiejie forced to flash away. Flash dodges Flandre's damage, and Evi's here. That means it's time to get away. It's going to be a tough one to go in. Here comes the stun onto the wall, and Flandre has been flayed. Jiejie's next up, a quick point and click stun. Scout flashes to safety, but Steel wants in. Not going to get any more, but DFM are 4-0.
Yeah, and EDG were the ones, the aggressors in that play. They went for that. Yutapon still down in the bot side. Viper had to make his way up, but none of it mattered. Didn't matter who was there. We saw the ultimate coming out from Gaeng, locking them down. Evi finding the knockup as well, and just set up for massive AoE damage coming out from the Talon.
And we can see in the new Axe Effect replay here, they just had no idea that Steel was there. They go in for the initial engage, then the stolen ultimate kick flash from Arya. What a play by him. And Steel has been so clever with his pathing, and now we can see EDG is looking to re-engage because Scout's respawn timer is 1 second and he had the TF ult. So they're saying, all right, just play it slow, Scout will arrive, and we can win this out. Gaeng is pretty low on HP, but the ulti comes in, Evi gets the pin on the wall, Flandre is dead before he even arrives.
That's the thing, right? Flandre flashed into that. Flandre flashes in, immediately gets pinned down. Now you're kind of like cut up as a team, Scout on one side, Braum on the other, and it just leads to DFM being able to find the fight. And I think with DFM having an advantage, looking forward, we were talking about, hey, how do you really consistently engage on the side of EDG? Sure, you have the Leona, you have Jhin ultimate, but I think you'd like a bit more. If they're ahead, they're on objectives first. EDG are the team walking into them.
And the fact that they're doing this at all is impressive. There is so much pedigree on EDG. Scout is a 3-time LPL champion. Meiko's a 4-time LPL champion, an MSI champion. He won Asia Games a few years ago, right, at an Olympics level competition. For DFM, even for the Korean imports, and I put that in quotes, by the way, because their only league for Arya and Gaeng has been the LJL. They're basically just native Japanese players as far as the only pro they've played. Their first time in the group stage, they're crushing everybody. Here comes the first kill, here comes the second. Jiejie running away under his turret, and yes, he will survive, but it's a 5-0 game for DFM.
Man, Steel is playing out of his mind on this Talon. He has been everywhere this game, across the map, finding plays, finding kills, clearing out vision, utilizing the Talon to have these really intelligent gank paths to come from different angles than EDG are expecting, circumventing their wards or making them just not really matter because he's showing up so quick.
Now, Steel has definitely been having a phenomenal game. Let's also highlight Gaeng for the fact that he's just consistently been right behind him the whole time. They've been doing a nice job of getting vision. You look at the minimap right now, there's pretty much wards littered everywhere for the side of DFM. Anywhere Jiejie goes, DFM will know, and they can kind of circumvent, make their plan depending on that. Looks like resets coming out, going to make their way down towards the bottom side of the map. I wonder if they'd want to opt into something like a Dragon when we will have second Rift Herald soon. And as we've seen, a lot of teams definitely preferring the gold trade over the Dragon stacking as of late.
Waiting for it, because we're 14-10 in, and yeah, no one's even looked at the Dragon so far into this game. Bot lane just kind of clearing back and forth, like, hey man, Yutapon's just hanging out. All right, he's just chilling. He's been on this team so long. He was on this team before the LJL even existed. Like, he's just been here, he's seen it all. Finally on his first Worlds group stage, he's like, I'm just farming on Jhin, like everyone else getting kills, like this is great. This is what I wanted. Get me teammates as good as me. Let's win this way.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking good. You look up towards that top side. The Jayce is down on farming the Poppy. Evi has the kill and the assist as well. And when you fall behind as Jayce against an armor stacking tank, it is sad. You do not do anything. And even if Jiejie gets up there, I don't know that they actually have the damage to take down Evi whatsoever.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to be doing anything until you at least have something like a Cereal to scratch later on in the game, but we are nowhere close. And Evi looking for the 1v1 again. He does so much damage.
There's the Eclipse Power Spike, though. That does change things around a little bit. Nicely timed, gets rid of the to the skies, and yeah, he's going back to the ground real fast.
Yeah, that was risky for Flandre. I think that Evi thought someone was behind him, because when you get that stun, he could have just done the point blank ult, and he's going to go for it now.
Crossfire Gauntlet means it's slow. Red buff going to mean more as well. Point blank ulti. Wants the solo kill, not going to get it. And now it might be Jiejie getting the kill. Waits it out. That's going to be a dash back. It doesn't matter. Gets the kill. On the board finally is EDG, as Steel can't turn one around.
I mean, you finally find something, but still, that was cutting it extremely close for Flandre. One or two things go different. Flandre can get solo killed there. Sure, he traded back, but EDG get on the board. We'll celebrate that, a small win, but DFM still being the team to hold control. They got the first Dragon only a moment ago. They have their bot lane on the top side of the map if they want to look to start this Herald, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. For now, EDG looks like they're just going to look to funnel gold and Viper and hope that later on he can get to more power spikes to carry.
Yeah, and that's not very unrealistic. Viper can do some crazy things in the team fights. This guy is a walking highlight reel, but DFM going to be able to grab another Herald here, and we'll see where they want to put it. I think, you know, mid is the guaranteed kill, but going through top would make a lot of sense there as well if they think that they can finish off the mid lane turret easy enough later on.
Evi actually probably should have taken that ult, by the way, just to make Viper take aggro and stop the shots in the turret. Really minor thing, doesn't matter too much. Herald pretty much instantly summoned in mid. He has to take the walk over, but as long as someone walks into range, they'll get the gold. Yutapon, by the way, is going to be out of local turret gold range, so a lot of gold sacrificed there. Actually, 400 gold missed via no one actually walking all the way up to the turret. That said, they guarantee the 150 bonus gold does not go Viper's way. Doesn't get his own first turret gold. Already going to knock down top.
I also really like the fact that DFM, you know, other than the fact that it was low, took mid turret, for the fact that we hit on how EDG's comp wants to play out more through side lanes, and with the fact that DFM have that mid turret down, that they are just ahead, they can continuously push out mid, and it's going to make it really hard for Flandre and Scout to overextend in the side, or DFM can just constantly look to collapse. Yeah,
absolutely, and as long as Arya can continually steal away Scout's ult, he can match those plays, even if Scout wants to go towards sides. You know, Evi just has to kind of buy time in that type of situation, and as you said earlier, Gaeng has been so active on the map, has been very effective at actually finding these plays, and EDG is very low on actual hard engage. You know, they pick the more defensive support instead of looking for something aggressive, so they are reliant on poking down their opponents, then trying to go in for some sort of a play, unless they can find an odd number play in a side lane. So it'll be interesting to see how they make this happen with a deficit.
Take stock of the game, though. We were very hyped about the beginning of the game, but the gold lead has shrunk down below 1,000. Asterisk with the fact that TF prints 4 gold per CS, so there's 600 gold in the scoreboard that's just from a TF passive that doesn't really explain like good plays or wave control. It just kind of comes in, so you still feel like DFM are leading, just maybe not by as much as they were before. Edward Gaming very slightly pulling back into this one.
I feel like one thing we've seen this game so far, right, is that DFM have definitely been the better team. EDG have just been the better laners. Not necessarily like individual players, they've just been better in terms of like actual laning. So that's how they've been able to keep up the advantages so far. DFM though, again, I still feel like they're in a really good spot. They have some solid power spikes coming out with things like the Gore Drinker, Serrated Dirk on Steel as well, and Everfrost for Arya. So they're definitely in a position where they can take a fight.
Yeah, they totally are. And I mean, all things being equal, I think most people would still take EDG to win this because of their pedigree, because of how good this team is. But DFM are in an incredible spot, and the fact that they are slightly ahead in gold, you know, even though it is just slightly, approaching 20 minutes means they're playing a hell of a game. And it's been really fun to see, and I hope that they can keep it up because it has been very, very exciting.
I do feel like this is a win-win for everyone, though, as Jiejie walks into Evi.
Yeah, doesn't guess the timing on the Q, so that's going to be the first little bit hit. Now going for movement speed, channeling the ultimate, and they're just going to run away. If he gets to hold it, he gets part of the cooldown back, so indeed gets 2/3 of it away. Still though, top lane turret under fire, and it's going to be 2-2 in the turret score. Next dragon spawns in 30 seconds. If Jiejie runs right now, he can get there in time to fight for the dragon. Otherwise, I feel like DFM should be able to stack their second of that objective.
Yeah, you would expect for EDG to start making their way down towards that side. DFM are the team that already has control, but going back to my last point, the win-win, it's either DFM gets a win, that's cool, that's spicy, or hopefully on the opposite end, if EDG do win, hopefully it's all about a Viper highlight reel, because that would be really cool to see. So, you know, viewers, winners in the end.
I always like that, you know? That's the fun thing about watching the game is I see a victory screen every single game I cast. Except at Worlds, where there's exactly one team I'm rooting for, you know, in some of the games I'm casting. So, you know, sometimes let down, but here we go. In this one, I get to see a victory screen no matter who wins. Dragon is going to be claimed indeed. It was EDG playing for topside as Jiejie and co took a red buff. They took most of this Raptor camp, Crux as well. So though a Dragon was claimed, there was also about 300 gold kind of siphoned out of Steel's jungle.
Yeah, not too concerned about that second Dragon just yet, but it is going to be Infernal Soul, very powerful on this comp. You know, honestly, Infernal Soul can really be annoying even when it's just on tanks. Like a bit of added damage for something like a Poppy versus Jayce matchup can really make it more threatening, and I do think we're going to see EDG start to play towards this next Dragon. They just want to try to get as many items as they possibly can. You can see the two Muromanas, you know, stacking up there, trying to get those completions, I think, before they fight, because the double completion for Jayce and Ezreal is going to be really impactful, and they didn't quite have it yet.
I feel like it's also with what you hit on earlier, right, about the fact that Evi has accelerated, does already have the Bramble vest to play with steel caps, the Frostfire gauntlet. So as Flandre, it'd be nice to get that stacked up, as well as, again, hit things like the Serelda's Grudge to be able to deal with the Poppy.
I'm going to be interested to see where Evi goes as far as the itemization. I actually am a pretty big fan of Warmogs in a game like this. If you're playing in the side lane, you just step back, you regen to full after every wave. Jayce can't really push you off and threaten towers. And as far as team fights, you just stand in front of your carries, tank every single Ezreal Q, every single Jayce Q. You can really become very, very difficult for your opponents to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the fact that they really don't have the ability to burst you out, right? Again, Scout not offering any damage, Flandre and Viper's damage both coming over time.
As a question, Azael, would you do it before Thornmail, or would you finish that first, then go Warmogs?
I mean, I think it depends on how worried you are about the sustain here. There is a fair bit of sustain on this team, so I think it's absolutely reasonable to finish Thornmail and then go third item Warmogs. I do think that Warmogs is actually going to get you more value than something like a Randuin's or a Deadman's in this kind of game, because you're not really that concerned about getting 100 to 0 killed. It's more about being whittled down, threatened over time in a side lane or at a team fight where you're being poked out.
Good to know. Well, speaking of being threatened over time, the gold lead has changed hands. Some of that, again, TF passive, technically the reason why it's happened. DFM have sort of earned more gold than EDG at this point in time, but again, it's still changed hands, and Gaeng is just deleted. There's number one. Now it really is an EDG lead. Evi here on the flank, wants to go to the Viper, can't get him though. Kick back, a knock him as well. Steel nearly dies, and Arya may just do so. Evi shuts two back, a flash to safety, barely Arya will survive. We can see now that Edward Gaming is winning the team fight.
The poke coming out from Viper and Flandre, hitting so hard. Gaeng right in front of her eyes, then he's gone. EDG still going to be in position to take this turret, and their comp is so good at sieging, they should be able to guarantee this one. Yutapon, be careful.
They're going to go for the second tower. They just want more potentially here. No, going to back off now, but jeez, they just deleted the Leona. Taking control there in the mid lane, and EDG showing, you know, just how strong they still are.
EDG doing quite well. You would expect resets to be coming out right now, and then EDG looking towards that top side of the map. DFM, though, do have tempo because they did just come off resets themselves, so they should be able to clear out some vision and maybe make it a bit troublesome for EDG to walk in.
But the game may have changed hands. We can see a 2,000 gold lead here, and EDG is to get back on the map. Say, you know what? As long as we can control dragons now, we're not worried about an Infernal Soul. And with the gold lead we have, that, you know, should be able to keep doing that for now. So I want to see their map movements, what objectives they control, and where they head.
And that said, you know, EDG really was fighting that 5v4, right? Because they killed Gaeng off before they really could get anything done on the side of DFM. So if I'm DFM, you still have to be confident about your team fighting. You want to look towards stacking Soul. I do think that's probably their best way forward in this game. If they start getting shy around dragons, it's going to be difficult for them to kind of advance the game forward.
Steel wants in, Gaeng in a flash, and they're going to finally sin. Second Sun's going to come through as well. Will he die is the question. Goredrinker buys a ton of time, and he's going to stay alive. Jhin opens up. They're going to find a slow and a Meiko. Could be the option. Stunned up and killed indeed. Pretty good timing here. Dragon spawning in 45 seconds. Evi's still around in the backline. Very tanky. Not easily threatened. Are you going to miss his stun, though? Here comes the damage output, and Evi is finally going to burn down. Kick comes in, and it's going to be a cleanup crew. DFM forced to run. Yutapon alone, but Scout is here, and the Scout's code means you leave no man behind. All of DFM are sent back to the fountain, and it's time to claim the Baron.
Nice kiting coming out from the side of EDG. They buy time. Jiejie joins the fight. Really sick kick to lock multiple people off. Now, like you said, Phreak, they're getting the Baron, they're getting mid lane turret. They should be even able to secure the first Dragon for themselves. EDG are taking everything.
Yeah, EDG team fighting strikes again here. I have to say, I felt like Yutapon just held that ulti way too long. You know, he was sitting completely out of the fight, waiting to kind of find this perfect third and fourth shot, while Viper is just mopping up his entire team, and I'm not sure if he just misjudged the situation and thought they were going to run it over, and he didn't need to actually move forward and get involved in that fight. But after the initial pick, if Yutapon had been more involved, maybe it could have looked a little bit different.
Now we're going to see, though, the vision control coming out from EDG. The fact that they have this Jayce, I feel like it's impossible for DFM to be able to walk in.
Yeah.
They got the first 2 Dragons for themselves, so it's not like they need to worry about EDG, like, soul point or anything like that, but still.
I mean, they don't need to worry about the soul, but that was really their only win condition,
Yes.
it feels like, remaining. You're
Right.
down 7,000 gold, and it's more about the fact that this is probably the only way we can come back now.
Yeah, they're worried about the 7,000 gold lead. They're worried about the fact that Viper is on line 204. The Ceros not going to be far away. And the fact that EDG now have entire control. Jiejie, I think this is like his 4th time in a row taking away enemy Raptors. They just own this map now. Summoner's Rift belongs to Edward Gaming, and they're on the way to the 3-0 start.
Yeah, I honestly feel like the only way DFM have to like find a fight now is actually we're going to go into the replay, and Azael, this is a little bit crazy.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, the initial play looks very good for DFM, but they can't quite actually finish off Jiejie. Then Yutapon, as the team is retreating, I do like the ulti, but watch how long he holds this. The second shot goes in, he kills Meiko. He's still sitting here, waiting for a third and a fourth shot. Well, Viper is getting out so much damage, and you're not even shooting it at low health targets where you could be looking for an execute. He just ends up essentially taking himself out of the fight. And then by the time he actually arrives, his team is already dead. And it did feel like Viper just had such a huge impact in that fight.
I got to shout out Jiejie for a really dirty Lee Sin ult, because he got 2 knockouts with the kick. He got it through 2 other people. That is amazing. That is really outstanding. I'm always a huge fan of seeing that one come through. They maybe win the fight anyway, but it's still the icing on the cake. And now with the 8,000 gold lead, they are sieging top lane. 3,100 gold to the Red Bull Baron power play. Top lane tier 2 about to be joining in. Going to be closer to 4,000 gold when it happens.
And, you know, this is where EDG's composition thrives, right? All 5 enemies right in front of you, able to dish out that poke, doing so well in a siege scenario. You have 2 Baroned up cannons, so EDG are going to be able to keep going with this and whittling them down, but the Poppy ultimate might be able to buy some time.
Nice by Viper. I believe he tanked it as the Arcane shifted. Wasn't able to walk far enough up to prevent his cannons from being shot out of the map and into orbit, but still, the rest of the squad is here to push it down. The cannons are back in range, and the inhibitor turret will fall. 28 minutes in, and you would be forgiven if you didn't think this game started 5-0 to DFM, because now it is pretty much all Edward Gaming as they knocked down the first inhibitor. 28 minutes in, they're ready to close this one out pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be pushing down mid lane. They have the waves prepped here. Mid and bot. Going to be looking to just try to finish this one off. You can see the waves coming in. But Talon is actually looking for a flank here. One last desperation play potentially coming in from DFM.
Here we go, big play coming in, gonna stun the front line, but Braum is in the way. Rampage picked up, that's the name LJL fans have seen before, but this time around, it's EDG making it happen. Viper on a killing spree, and a kickback not gonna matter. Meiko stays alive. Good snipe coming through for Yutapon. A second kill coming through as well. The trap, I believe, is the reason that even happened. But you can see the fight still went well. 3-2 for EDG.
Still, with the fact that DFM have been on the back foot for so long, being able to pick up some kills, really nice for Yutapon on the Jhin. EDG started it off so well that they kited out the initial engage. They find their first kill on the Gaeng. Viper also some really nice mechanics with the flash to cleanse the E to be able to escape both Steel and Arya and output all the damage in the fight. And it feels like for EDG, if Viper can stay alive, they're going to be able to take these fights no matter what.
Yeah, and it's just going to get harder and harder to actually take him down. He has the stopwatch now. He's building towards that frozen heart where it becomes very difficult to actually burst out this Ezreal. One saving grace, they did force both of his summoners, so that is something, as he had just used the Arcane Shift forward when Steel came in on that flank, so he had to immediately flash to get out of there.
I also feel like the idea is right coming out from DFM, right? That it's like the last play they have available is looking for this flank coming out with Steel and Arya. The problem for them is they really don't have a lane that they can push to be able to guarantee of like, hey, I'm going to try and get behind the likes of EDG to set up this play. But if they can find that play once again, it is always available. With Viper's summoner spells being down, Steel and Arya's are as well, so it also will be a bit harder to close the gap.
9,000 gold and a base to kill. Middle inhibitor turret still alive, but locked at 1/3 HP. Won't regen past that point. And they're going to get ready to make this one happen. Now, next dragon spawns in 35 seconds. It wouldn't really be in the back of their minds, doesn't have to be. Even if you somehow lose this fight, you're only giving away third dragon. You're not immediately, getting aced into soul. So the risk of a bad fight isn't too high here. But they may choose to play it slowly. They may choose to wait all the way for the dragon spawn, claim that, and then go. Jiejie going to be stunned up, but gets out of the way. And Gaeng is almost going to drop, but just barely stays alive. True Shot Barrage comes through from Arya. Doesn't get a whole lot of damage done, though, and ultimately DFM are forced right back out. Scout is here ready to keep playing.
The thing is, DFM are just feeling the pressure overall, right? You look at topside super minions coming in, you just sit on the fact that Dragon's coming up. They know that they need to do something now if they want to have a chance.
Yeah, but with Gaeng in base and Arya actually answering top, they just can't do anything. Viper lights up Evi, and now they can close in. You can see mid and bot already chunked out pretty low. These towers are going to go down fast.
There we go. Turret going to fall. And the inhibitor going to be next up on the docket. 30 seconds still for Evi to respawn. Yeah, not going to be a problem here. As now mid lane can be attacked. Look, Scout makes his way over. That's going to be another turret down. And honestly, in a 4v5, there's no way you fight for this inhibitor. You get this one up away as well, and now you fight for the double Nexus turrets. But as the waves come in, the 5v4 siege may be enough. They can end the game right here. Dragon's going to be ignored. The Nexus is the target. Second turret falling, waiting for Evi still for 8 seconds. And health bars are too low to keep fighting. So EDG just going to walk it in as DFM finally take the fight. They get the stun, but can they kill Lee Sin? Jiejie able to get out pretty easily. The root comes in, and down goes Steel. Looking for the fight still in the 4v5. Evi in the front line, quite tanky, but not gonna matter. 3 more kills. Nexus falls. Edward Gaming 3-0.
And it feels great. A lot of people doubting EDG despite the fact that they were the LPL champions. Some people having more confidence in FPX, but EDG definitely looking like the best LPL team here at Worlds. And honestly, they're right up there with Damwon as looking like the 2 current best teams. So really excited to see EDG going forward.
Yeah, very impressive team fighting from EDG. It is the expected result at the end of the day, but it was not the expected path to the result.
No.
DFM had a very strong early game. Steel, I cannot sing enough praises for his early game play on the Talon. I thought that was so impressive, circumventing the early wards, forcing flash from both mid and top, re-ganking, finding kills, finding creative paths that gave DFM a potential path to victory.
Yeah, especially, I want to highlight Gaeng as well, right? We highlighted how much time he spent on a lane, following Steel around and really setting up a lot of those plays. Sadly, in the end, it just feels like, again, the caliber of players and team that EDG is, which was just too much for them to overcome.
5 players the first time at the group stage. EDG, you got a laundry list of people who have international accolades, so well done to them for the win. Now we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, Shox, Cadril, and Emily